We maybe chant every session these supplication, which is very profound writing. It's usually it's a big difference. One who realizes and special. Oh, I'm speaking in English.
It's okay.
So this is profound writing by a realizer, a master. It's different than composed by any person. And the word, the meaning, and also it carries a blessing. And this comes through lineage, unbroken, unpolluted lineage. So it's very wonderful to read together. But so far we don't have a fanatic here, but we maybe can find fanatic for just this application, and we can chant together. But now, Drupal Rinpoche and I and others who read English, Virginia, we can read chant in Tibetan, and then you can chant in English once we do these few days, and you can keep these for your life. It's wonderful to do it. There is one reason for doing that. It's once our innate nature of the mind nature, Buddha nature, which need to realize or recognize by our through our practice, in order to reveal this innate nature, we need to the outer guru or the outer lineage to open up our nature. So sometimes we say outer guru and inner guru. So we have inner guru already innately, but it's need to reveal through outer guru. So which means it requires a little bit sort of traditional way of practicing that devotion or faith is very, very important. And that's once we have outer guru, who you believe, doesn't matter. So we need something to we say if there is sun, there is maybe magnified glass, and then grass, dry grass on the ground. In order to burn that, we need to have the magnified glass. So that is the guru or blessing, and then we need through that blessing we can reveal our inner nature. That's why it's very important to trust someone and to receive blessing from that. It's not trusting to something that you are not kind of benefiting that. So in order to our inner guru rise or manifest or recognize, we have to have that. If not, maybe our inner guru is just hidden in our system, and then we may not reveal that part. Okay. Namo Guru Kanshin Kuruwe Jamso Injeso Rungshin Gawale Durwanze Gajurimboji Juba Nambara Dabe Jenji Shanlaji Jujun Jamso Jimbo Jindarasi Meshiba Malam Jache Jin Yunrimo Sunje Drube Drubju Tramame Bela Matamba Namla Chanzar yin jab san ji wo yin ji la ba ta zo.
Do we want to read it in English?
Yeah.
So it's just up to it's the first part of what he taught on this morning. So I have to please grant your blessings. Namo Ratna Guru, adorned with the pure conduct of the precious Kagyu, you help us traverse the ocean of samsara, so terrifying and difficult to cross. Your stream of blessings is inexhaustibly immense and its expanse of the great ocean, and your aspirations are vast, enduring, and spontaneously accomplished. Noble masters of the flawless practice lineage, I bow before you, be my refuge, and grant your blessings.
Having cherished this.
That's it, sorry, just up to there.
Yeah, so this part is the supplication. We can chant anytime you want. So now I will read these 10 lists that each section has 10 or more lists. And then Virginia will help us to read in English. You can follow, but you don't have to read together. Maybe it's more clear one person read and you can contemplate on these lines. And then I will try to explain a little bit on each line, but some lines are clear, and also the point which will or is related to the preliminary practice, so you may already more familiar with that, and you already practice more than some of us. So if that's the case, you need to be patient, to kind to others, to just patient. So that's a way of practice, they call. Okay. Teyang tenji kansa tarvatan tamjin chenbi sanji tobran dobe pangbi chuju jisu chenbar shawane. Nyebar gawe melu zongmande mige dikbe lela gyudam pang. Denbar gawe tanchur melu zongmande kyomen tamarji lusu shirum pang. Nyingmi tuji mitse yutong yuzamde tongmi shawe lamla seydam pang. Rangsam chuku rangyi zhomende Churban kurwe lam dam to hing pong. Lam nan rembe lama tambate, xiangcho mato fartan dartan pong. Tarwe chuzing domba tan tam singde, nyomo fami jianwang ki hik pong. Lamme chinji rang la nyebe tokbate, nduyi changsik ji sebdo torban pong. Choptom nam ji menga samun te, mena karmi nam la song to zong pong. Drawa simchin chinchin pama nam, Dangwe semji bangxing tarwan pang. Xiongbe longso tarwi go somte, tamar dangyum ngang to xiadan pang, denan pangwe ju yinna.
So first are the 10 kinds of waste. So 1, this perfect human body, so difficult to find, is wasted by engaging in non-virtuous evil deeds. This perfect human body, with the leisures and endowments, is so hard to obtain, it is wasted by dying an ordinary, unspiritual person. 3, this fleeting life, already short in this dark age, is wasted when spent on pointless activities. 4, the mind, whose unobstructed nature is Dharmakaya, is wasted by sinking into the muddy swamp of samsaric delusion. 5, the sublime Guru who leads you onto the path is wasted when you dissociate from him before attaining enlightenment. 6, your vows and samayas, the ship to reach enlightenment, are wasted when broken through frivolous, disturbing emotions. 7, the experience and realization discovered within yourself through the assistance of a guru are wasted when allowed to dissipate in the jungle of materialistic activities. The profound oral instructions of the cities are wasted when bartered like merchandise to unfortunate ordinary people. 9, all sentient beings, your own kind parents, are wasted when out of hatred you abandon and forsake them. 10, your youth, when your body, speech, and mind are fresh and vigorous, is wasted when spent in ordinary indifference. These are the 10 kinds of waste?
다 보일 대양 땡지 강사 타르와탄 템진 쳔비 상지 토프른도 베송 저는 땡지 강사선에
Oh yeah, they put it to you somewhere. Injikela. Oh no, on the other page. Yeah. Okay, so we missed the first page. At the bottom of the first page, it says, first of all, the person who wishes to attain liberation and the omniscient state of Buddhahood should remember the 10 kinds of waste. So that, yeah.
땡지 강사 다 강사 세야테 다 망치위기 단다 맞아 인지기라 persons 세야나 오직 그 건록노 대인도 텔 댄스나 가르 상지 드비텐 추 드비텐 다 텔라 되네 댄스는 무슨
So it's interesting, there's this word in Tibetan, tengi gangsa. So usually like the gangsak part we translate as person or individual, but here like 10 is not translated because it's quite difficult actually to translate into English, but what it's referring to, 10 means support. So the support of like the human body, for instance, is what, it is the support for one who is practicing for awakening or who achieves awakening. It is a support for one who practices the Dharma.
됐습니다. 단줄접지 당tembe lutenser luten.
So daljur tope dangdembe.
Ludens.
So it's the support. So it's the same word when we say it's the support of the human body. One that is endowed with the leisures and endowments. Having obtained the leisures and endowments, there's the support of the human body.
I think the dancer may lunde. Sai sakbi dancer. Sa le sakbi dancer. Sa le 사가요르스 가르서는 제통치나 하세야 되고 대화동 롱추 푸숨 속바지 요르테 추원에 드버시발라 되니 미글윈데 된 치버진지르스 다티노네 장아 도르지테 관다오지 차샤와이나테네 마초 사공 안데 또 모줄루 오살라소바 공코나테네 잘롱티글레테 잘롱티글 락바테 사글루텐라 메바인두 미글루텐데 사이 삭빌루송다 사리장 사가레송.
So it is said that the support of a human body is even better than or superior than the support of a divine body, because even though a divine body, meaning like a deva or gods, celestial beings, they have an abundance of happiness and enjoyments and so forth. But when it comes to practicing the Dharma, especially in the context of secret mantra Vajrayana, the subtle body practices such as tumo or clear light, they rely upon the coarse presence of the channels, winds, and drops, which we have as human beings, but divine beings or celestial beings don't have.
다때다고 가서 단줄접지도 템빔 루임 럼보체 톱디오 바차 샤네 다때다고 강사 디기 에네 타르와 당 탐친 쳔비 송지 톰도게 로 유비 왕도 당와 지글라 되네 인데나 추주요레소.
So especially, for someone who wishes to achieve liberation and to furthermore attain the state of complete omniscience or full enlightenment, the full enlightenment of Buddhahood, then to have a precious human body with the leisures and endowments as we currently do is kind of the best condition possible.
Yeah, that's not that one. The second page goes to second page.
Oh, the first, so before, for the screen
The
sharing.
first one,
The
page.
first page, so the
Yeah.
page before that, it's actually at the bottom
Yeah,
of the
bottom.
page, yeah. So, and that's exactly what it says. For the person who wishes to attain liberation and the omniscient state of Buddhahood, you know, somebody who has the support of the human body should remember the 10 kinds of waste.
So, then 다 펑비 추주스 제송 단다 추주 주지 주니 망보 장농도 이나야 다직도 다다 등에 봐요 말다 조 체외 원도 동나 인디주테 네 펑보레서 다 펑보레서나
Pampo. So trola mare.
왜스서나 this 잠차고 손잡 펑보레서나 almost like devastating. Yeah.
Lazo. Yeah, so so we say the 10 kinds of waste. The word in Tibetan is pangbo, and it's interesting because like actually I didn't see the Tibetan, and there's a different word we always translate usually as waste. So I thought it was that word. So he made the point that pangbo is actually much stronger, he would say, than waste. It, like maybe it's like devastating, or maybe we could say like it's a travesty.
Tindu ta tongmar tanjoni kawate shigoro tangbo nye barkabe melu tsangman de song te tanjoji melu sayate pe tang kyo tang chang gi go ne nye barkaware song ne mambo song yorwa ta te so mambo shukoji mari tindu ende tawu melu sangbo top devan de mege dikpe le la chu dompang song den de top devan de tongmi chuzuwan tikba mege le la juba de pangboreso.
And so here, as it says first, you know, this precious human body that is so difficult to find, it's a travesty to waste it, or maybe actually it's, you know, when we think about, for instance, how much the difficulty of achieving the human birth, so there are the different ways that it's taught, by way of example, by way of causes, by way of numbers, then we understand how difficult it is to achieve a precious human birth. And so having obtained that, then it is really a travesty to get away.
Travesty, loss.
Loss, yeah. So
yeah.
it's a huge loss.
Yeah.
If we you use it by engaging in negative activities, non-virtue and negativity.
단데나 당보도 님반인티 당보 니버까비 멜루송테네 덴버까비 단조르송 니바다 단조르니 때에서 가하샹도 때 제주메라를 바기 송여러와 기르 멜루스 린첸 콘서트 무추네나 콘주메 송레 기르 멜루 린첸 콘서트 좀 무추네나 콘주메 송레
The Gombodorjela. So it is at first, you know, very difficult to attain a human body altogether, but especially difficult to attain a human body endowed with the leisures and endowments. And so there's this distinction between a precious human form, precious human body, and just human bodies. So for instance, when Milarepa, there's the famous line from Milarepa, ordinarily they say the human body is precious, but looking at you, there's nothing precious about your human body, he said to the hunter, Gompo Dorje.
Yeah, who's a hunter, yeah. And Temperkawe melu tsangmande chumen tamarji lusu shiwan pangsong ta tangjur jobji tang tembe rangjur nga shenjur nga la sokwa ta jurwa tende tarwa chutong jurwa ji tende top jorwa ten indu te dawu tobe melu tsangma sita tala tsangma singdo te chu meban tamarji ngonda shisona tene pangboreis.
So then the second line where it says, this perfect human body with leisures and endowments so hard to obtain, it's a huge loss if one dies just an ordinary unspiritual person. So, again, this precious human body, with the 10 endowments, the 5 endowments that are dependent upon outer conditions and the 5 endowments that are dependent upon oneself, then if one just dies as an ordinary being, then it is a great loss.
Nyingme tuji metsa yu tong yu zamdi tume shawe lamdo se de mangso. Tene nga zo tanjur se jobji tang teme me lirin bochi xie yangdu ni ka la jik lawa song ni ya de gali kaw tanjur ni ya gali kaw res ina jik ya de pe le lawa re song ten yin du tan de sumbe ke tong ne tene se mata se ya te ten gu wa tanjur ni ga de tangbo ni ke ten se mata se ya te ndana ten gu ten yin du nyingme ke tu nga zo ke me chen de dawu and yu zam hiri song da nga zo xiawa le ka mambo yore ten yin du telam gong khor ni tu zu zong rong dwa and te dawu yin ba te tan do na tuen mi bi xiawa mambo ji ling gong khor ni sen ro ande and pangbo re song.
So then the fleeting human life, already short in this dark age, is wasted, or it's a huge loss when spent on pointless activities. So again, having the 18 leisures and endowments, which is so difficult to achieve or to come across, it is so difficult to find, but also so easily lost, very easy to be destroyed. Because this life is impermanent and fraught with so much uncertainty. And so as that is the case, since this life is especially, very short and very easily lost, when this precious opportunity is lost through just wasting time involved in meaningless activities, as the time is exhausted, then it is a great loss indeed.
Tene shiba te tan di kapsu nga tso tanjur nye ka tse meta lei jun rin kurwi nye mek sen ne nga ni chi na tanda lodo namba shi te rinpa shindu ndogore ina yang di kapsu tan tanda rinpe tenyi te kei chenpo chi ne tan nga tso nga ni simba shaksa se go na ta mikpa te sa nga ma te kar te kore se na rang sem chu ku rang yi zhu me de ngo shi go go re te ngo ma shi ne rang sem chu ku rang yi zhu me de chu we kurwe lam to nam to hing dong pang song ta te ngo ma shi ne te ne kurwa dam zap da ge nang to long chi ne chor song wa te ene pang bo re.
And so then the fourth line, which says, the mind whose unobstructed nature is Dharmakaya, is wasted by sinking into the muddy swamp of samsaric delusion. So, actually when going through this, we ordinarily would spend time reflecting, step by step on each of the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. But kind of the place to really kind of rest our attention is with this imperative in this line to recognize the true nature of the mind, the Dharmakaya, the unelaborated Dharmakaya, If it is not recognized, then one just continues to be swallowed in the swamp of samsara, and to become lost, in the swamp of samsaric delusion through non-recognition is a great loss.
다때다 나수기 조 냠내 탐지 조데 랑기 셈 추쿠 랑이 조바메 바테 몬토야 당티 따와 똑약 치드 ene gom nyamlen chenanda kar kandong ke jur chenanda choma ti che tu che go te indu ta te ngo sheber cheba la
Gom yenada yangna gomda.
kar se la song
Chi la so. Right, gomda.
gom drop nyamlen se gom drop nyamlen kan chen
La so.
kandong ke jur se na da nga ta po pe lu su la kanen de ya da ge wa drop ya de yoro 다 저소탐 제데 너나 상지에서도 되는 추구랑 이 랑기샘 추구랑 이때 똑거로 또 똑약치도 매겨래.
So mainly, it is the objective of all of our Dharma practice is primarily this, to recognize the true nature of our mind, to become introduced to the Dharmakaya, to the realization of the view. So whether meditation or all of the different forms of practice, study, recitation, and so forth, all of it is meant to lead us to this awakening, where the true nature of awareness, the Dharmakaya of our own mind, is directly experienced or directly seen.
다다 랑샘 추구랑 이제 똑바로 해발라 되네 라마 땡고 그래 라마티 마덴베는 되네 들어가서 랑샘도 추구랑 이마도 또나 토바인 발라테네 람난 렘베 라마 탐바티 예수 다다 람지 땡고 람초른 전통화 성디 노 람기 조도 좋아요 다티기 람비 난랭케 아테 lama kona chadyo res. Da di lama tamba te shangcho mato vartan rardam hong sungdu dene shangcho mato ji parto lama te tengo gore mato renga tenzam chi renga matemba chi na dene yongyo ma te yindu dene matemba chi ba ina pambo res.
So then, as it says, the fifth line, the sublime guru who leads you onto the path is wasted, or it's a loss, when you disassociate from him before attaining enlightenment. And I'm curious if the Tibetan... Okay. So here, so the line that comes before, recognizing the true nature of your own mind, the way that can come about is through dependence upon or relying on a spiritual teacher, a lama. It doesn't just come about kind of, willy-nilly or on its own. And so for that reason, it is the lama that guides one on the path, that then enables one, the path here, again, being what is referred to with, the precious garland of the supreme path. And this realization, the outcome of the supreme path and the way to traverse the path can only really be understood or it's only accessible through reliance upon a spiritual teacher. And so if we separate, from the spiritual teacher instead of relying on them until awakening, then it is a great loss.
Tene ta lama rang semde chukungon trobde hebala tangbo ngaso tanjor jobji tan dembe menurum boche to tene rang sem chukungo chuya ge doba te yu te drumdu ke loji je tene lamna dembe lama tamba je la temba ina tadon kar go gore sena tene rangi ta nyamlen se ate tene tawatan kumba chubala sokbala ndugu yorwa. Di indu donbada tamsik sayate adane tilandu.
So then the sixth line says, your vows and samayas, the ship to reach liberation, are wasted when broken through frivolous, disturbing emotions. So again, to realize the Dharmakaya, the true nature of your own mind is Dharmakaya, and by relying upon the Lama and having the support of that enables us to do so, this precious human body with leisures and endowments, and then to have the samayas and commitments that are necessary throughout the path of practice, for the practice being the view, meditation, and conduct. If we allow the vows and samayas to be broken due to the power of afflictive emotions, then it is a great loss.
Tine tomba tamsek sayate jirthong chisoso tarbi tombas, son tarbi tomba, nang hyongchipsen be labas, zawang ringzing aji tamsek sen, jirthong ko chik soso wangdo tomba ina, soso tarbi tomba, hyongchipsen be laba, zawang aji tamsek sen, kaga cheyayo. Dan durna nyamlen chinken chigla chan zawang ina, tada tamchi te tarvi truzing ta which are the truzings and tarva tobya ge truzing dan tingo la tilam so korba se ya de jamso chenbo gar kawa jig surong are so that truzing ge dan dona tele gar ko wa indu domba ta tamsek se ya de truzing la pe han dan so mare.
So, Drudzin Milu Rinpoche or Domba Damse? Gongda?
Tarvi truzing
Tarban Drudzin.
metaphor simile karchen underground. So the boat off, boat for maybe cross, liberating samsara.
Re de hako song yini yang de Drudzin de lu re yang na Domba Damse.
Yes, Domba
So the vows and commitments are referring to the three levels of vows. So they're the vows of individual liberation, the pratimoksha vows, the outer vows, the inner practices of the bodhisattva vows, and the secret level commitments of the secret mantra samayas. And all of these comprise or holding them, and then it becomes like a ship, like the boat that leads us across the great ocean of samsara. So samsara is compared to a vast ocean that is extremely difficult and dangerous to cross. So as long as those vows are upheld and intact, then that it becomes like the ship that allows us to cross the great ocean of samsara.
So that we choosing to nyome ba fami jewon ki hiksana adene destroy singdo tendi chewate pambores.
And so, the metaphor here being a boat, if the vows are damaged or destroyed, it's like destroying the boat that provides our opportunity to cross the ocean of samsara.
Ninga zo namju tomba nyamse and tamse nyamse at ko hikwa nyamba tela ko the trudang and our hikor.
Namju.
Not so tomba nyamse gro tamse nyamse gro. The nyamse at the and the hik say that moves destroying over nyamse na how to say decline, not decline.
Yeah, damage or
Violate is seems too much. Nyam is mostly intransitive.
Decline.
Decline, yeah.
Because the Dhamma the NG
Almost diminishing.
Yeah,
Of,
diminish.
Yeah.
So here, like as we speak of, there's the word nyam when we talk about the deterioration, maybe, of the vows, and samayas. And here, then, this is likened to, the kind of when the vows deteriorate, then it is like this boat can be, for liberation, is destroyed.
That time mena pangboris, ta yuna mato namjulawyo, yuna ti chokwa ta mena tap chakwa saya ta shigor. Ti chokwa se du, tan de yuna tenen rigdioris, de mena pangboris jiwa. Oda diso gogioris evitendarwa.
And so, if we don't have them, then it's a real loss. It's like a defeat. If we have them, then this is makes everything possible. So this is kind of like a saying, or in Tibetan, that's kind of common. Like if you don't have it, it's a complete loss. You're at a loss. But if you have them, or you have it, then it makes everything possible. So.
Tene dumba ta lami chinji rang la nibi tokpa tisong. Ta te dawu rongsam choku rong yi zhumi yinba te ti te tokpa res. Tokpa hi rang ki ju la nyeba res, rong ki ju la njar songs. Rang la nyeba te lami chin li chungwa re ma to xian kang ni chung chungwa ma re song. Tene nga zo ka ju be lu su la nga Tokten lami shilab kona le tab shen tenpa mongpa shebar chi sonne. Tokwa tan tenpe lami ki kongju ki shilab rong pu yongdu, tene rong ki ju la nyamdo tokwa saya te rong shu ki jie yongju yu sonne. Ten ma to tene tab shen tang ki kone rong sam kyu ki rong yit tokya yong ma re song rwa.
And so if you, in order, again, to realize the dharmakaya of one's own, the true nature of one's own mind, free from elaboration, through relying upon a spiritual teacher, so the ability to come into contact with or to meet this true nature directly or face-to-face, there's no method other than relying upon a spiritual teacher endowed with the necessary characteristics. So in the Kagyu tradition especially, it is said that a lama who is endowed with realization, when the blessings of their realization kind of touch our own mind stream, then our own inner qualities can sort of arise from within. So they're sort of that contact stimulates realization. But without this, then there's no condition to allow that understanding to arise.
Teyindu ta rong ju la tokpa chebar jenjik lami chin la tene chungwa res. Ta di chungwa te
Gongda. Dila tene rangjula.
denando rong la nyeba.
Oh.
Lami chin ji rong la nyeba tokpa so ta tita bu tokpa chebar jenjik lami chin la tene rong ju la je deva res. Ta je deva te duyin sanseng gi sep torwan phang so du je dena ya te la Jun do nyamne maji bayina tene torndo gres torndo lando gres kari kandi chin lando gres na duyin sanseng gi septa be duyi sena shawale kani na re tene sem ga tokpa ina re atan dorna je shayi mambo je ki nala ti ni debi tokpa ten pa lando gres ta te la sona pambores sorni de wat pa la sona pambora
So then with the seventh, this is referring to the seventh verse where it says, the experience and realization discovered within yourself through the assistance of a guru are wasted when allowed to dissipate in the jungle of materialistic activities. So when that realization occurs, it also has to be sustained through consistent practice and dedication to the path. Otherwise, that realization can dissipate; it can be lost. And so, especially when through distraction and attachment to things like materialistic things, if that which has been seen or understood through the kindness of the Lama isn't tended to or maintained and therefore is lost or dissipates, then it is a great loss.
And then I saw Kajubala Namjuli, Songya, you are in the Melareba Song. To some Jarvi Shunglam to Junchi, maybe Chamba in Song. To some Jarvi Shunglam, say, Lam Mamat, the Lam Shungdo, the Lam Gino, to Junchi, maybe Chamba in Song. That would a junt, Chi Mason, Chambat, Junchong.
So also really common to the Kagyupa tradition are the lines from Milarepa that say the Shuglam, the entry point of the path of all the victorious ones of the 3 times has to be at all times remembered or not forgotten.
Mindfulness.
So mindfulness of this must be sustained at all times without interruption.
Tenkizam Nizam Tendre, Dopa Juliki, Pengrama, Tene, Dujiki Tansegno, Torno Tamatorbachiate, Chembik Junjango.
So, in other words, this mindfulness of this true nature must be vigilant. It must be sustained at all times. So, without forgetting, then one has to remember at all times or come back again and again to the realization that has arisen so that it becomes an unbroken continuity.
Tene jebar truptom namji menga samote mena karme namla sonto sonto ponzo tate davu dokwanyi devate ronju lanjarve ki chieto junchi mebar gom ta gom deve ki nyamnyon to tamchi dene truptom namji rono sosugi then you risku yorobata, you risku sena then chi yores. That bena gamorum buchi konrek zong dero adrina. That chishawa the ngazo jeya yorova. Ngazo nyamneng to juli deva te, junji meba, trembe jang deva te, ngazo tina chia yore, lama nambe chishore. And the trotella troptom namji menga samo segure. That menga samo te, nyamnyonki menga samo tesegure.
Tene de yapo juriona, de charang sumbatang tes kakado surgio.
All sentient beings, no.
Mare jepa mareme.
The profound oral instruction of the siddhas are
wasted
when bartered like merchandise to unfortunate ordinary people. Unfortunate is interesting. It seems okay, but okay. It's saying that now up to here, once we have human kind of birth, and we have all these conditions, what we need, and then we wanted to practice to realize Dharmakaya in our mind. And then through the Guru's pit instruction, we understood and we got blessing and we got this realization. And we kind of maintained that realization through our mindfulness. And these all are not only one time in the past or the moment or future, but these realizations produce or have experience that written down or teachings or oral teachings or written down texts that we can read these days. This is particularly Gambopa's own teaching. That we call pit instruction of the Siddhas. And now we have chance to look at not only our own experience, but we can also study and practice and based on these mengas. Yeah? Tati menga te da rongju le demba te mina karme nam lo song zong de bon song dan di kap so jer song nga zo chu se ya de chu xi ne xian la pan ji tong na san be go ne chu xi ya ma to chu se ya de ju pin jor tang top nian da ge chi de xi ba yin de le song de zong wan se ge cong de zong wa de song sul song ge yo de se na menak se na da jer tong yin na pu le yin na je nong tanda Tawatan Lama, tene ane te tende mayin bala kogo. Ta yina minak se yon nakpo se ya di nga zo digbe le chenya la yon kogo yor. Ta te yindu karwa me bas, unfortunate, ta metende la par chu hi wa yina. Tene ta te pangbo re so. Chu the truth nam di menga te nyamlen che ya ki che do. Re ma to chong chong ya ki che to ma re se.
So then, that being the case, if then the Dharma that is received or understood, if it then should be explained only, with goodwill and the intention to benefit others, not to receive wealth or material things in return, or to become famous and well known. So if it is then bartered or sort of sold like that to here it says unfortunate ordinary people. So ordinary people is sometimes referring to, like in Tibet, it used to often refer to non-monastics, those who were not monks and nuns or lamas. But here, like non-practitioners, those who don't intend to put it into practice, who are individuals with less fortune. The point here being is that these profound pith instructions are meant to be practiced. So if they're just kind of given, out for the sake of wealth and reputation, then it is a great loss.
Tony Ningi said, Tinite, Songton Derwaju, Injimini Gogorta, Ransam Chuk Tongwani Te, Zewa Ningi Chemboge, Gone, Champagne Sam de Mevaina, Tene, Yamlan Kanda Kanchena, Shonchuk Galamla, Ndrogioma, Ten Drogi Medu, Ndroa Samchen Trinchen Pama Nam, Dong with Sam Japon, Chitoran Pongson, Ndroa Samchen Tam, Ye Dumane, Dona Rong, Pama Machi, but Yon Yomares. Teso tamjila par dangwa che yate, tene pe pangbore yusong.
So then the next line says, all sentient beings, your own kind parents, are wasted when, or it's a waste or loss when you abandon your all sentient beings, your own kind parents, out of hatred and forsake them. So when we practice, having realized having given rise to some understanding and realization, the practice itself is maintaining that indivisibility of emptiness and compassion, the realization of emptiness and compassion, and then with that, there's always the impulse or the wish to benefit others. And this is the path of bodhicitta, the path of benefiting all beings who have at one point in time or another been our own kind parents. Because there's not a single sentient being that hasn't at one point in time or another been our own kind mother or father. And so when we lose that compassionate motivation and forsake sentient beings, then it is a great loss.
Xiongbe longso tarwe ko somtun tamar tanyong long to xiao pang song. Ta teta wu cha changwa jinga tsuki drobya yu bigi ko kap rakwa tang tu tsu yu ba tende yina yong tende nga tsu xiongbe longso se na tanda lo xiong xiong kambis ne ma drobya yina tende tanyong tu lu ndo kore song.
So then the last line or the last point is your youth, when your body, speech, and mind are fresh and vigorous, is wasted when spent in ordinary indifference. So when there's so much opportunity, we've received so much opportunity and have the conditions for really accomplishing all that can be accomplished, then while there's time, while we are still young and have all of the conditions that are favorable to practice, and so if instead we sort of let it go to waste through attitudes of kind of indifference or procrastination, then it is a great loss.
Tene ta rinpe shinda mar nga tso ndo nan riksaro mare. Gobi chu chu ne rangi potsu simbi chu ji hitsa manchu ba shiku. Teba dan zon ji lama tambi ka shin droba shiku. Kansa ki jongyong shibi lami tamka manurwa shiku. Sherab dan teba nenden ji lama tambi tukon lomba shiku. Chenpa dan shi yi fakyu don denbi gosom ji nyechong ji maku ba shiku. Kocha dan nyingtop ji yinam tenjing tsuk to ba shiku. Changmi shemi ji jubi nata mala mashir ba shiku. Gyurmu ji som ji simbe taadu tsongni sokpa la zomba shiku. Shamba dan nyingji ngu sam ju ni simchen ji tunla lo chokpa shiku. Sherab dan koto ji chu tam ji ngu dan tsema mashir ba shiku. Tene gobi chu ju yinno.
So then the next section are the 10 necessary things. So it says here are the 10 necessary things on page 3. 1, you need to stay independent so as not to lose your true priorities. 2, you need to follow the words of a sublime guru with faith and diligence. 3, you need to select instructions of your guru unmistakably by understanding the difference between the instructions on faults and qualities. 4, you need to assimilate the sublime guru's realization with discriminating knowledge and persistent devotion. 5. You need to remain untainted by faults in thought, word, and deed by being mindful, watchful, and careful. 6. You need to keep your resolve steady and unwavering with the armor of courage. 7. You need to be unattached and free from clinging so as to avoid letting the rope of your nose slip into the hands of others. 8. You need to constantly exert yourself in gathering the two accumulations by embracing them with the preliminary, main, and concluding stages. 9. You need to turn your mind toward helping other beings with loving kindness and compassion, both directly and indirectly. 10. You need to not mistake phenomena to be substantial and inherently endowed with characteristics through knowledge, understanding, and realization. These are the 10 necessary things.
다 추드럽 사야 돼. 그래서 불 해야지 요래. 나타 랑골티 있어야지. 그래서 야나 랑的 텐데 티도 나라 용폭진 되네. 현다지 티도가 랑라 완차요 말와. 다 된다고 저기 랑 포츠 심베송 랑 포츠 심바스나 랑게 랑라 하코 랑라 이치 되네 다 랑라 제 좋은데네 되네 다 개와지 좀나 타로와타 탐진제비 컴pon지 톱지오레 삼백이 티게 눈밭에게 그거네 랑라 포츠도 요고 심바스나 랑라 포츠도 요바 tetda rongla tene potsute yune chuji hitsa manchu bachi ko sa tangbo chaji ji sha yongdu ti chaji te manchu ba manor bachi ko gres kande ji go gres na ta chuji dromna kande ji drop go sare
Charji songime.
charji tsaba manchu sena charji te manor ko gres charji 차이시죠, 알아? 어떻게 그래? 담보티 주시나?
So the first line, you need to stay independent so as not to lose your true priorities. And this also connects with what is mentioned down below when it speaks of a nose rope. Because like in Tibet, often, the animals will have like a ring, and then a rope that they're led, by this rope that is pulling them through the nose. And so this metaphor is like, to have a hold of your own nose rope means to not lose your independence to others. Because if others are controlling you, then you don't have your independence, you don't have your freedom. So understanding, you're having conviction in your own path of Dharma practice, we have to have kind of confidence in ourselves and be able to rely on ourselves, really being clear that as we follow the path of virtue, that this is what leads to Buddhahood or awakening. And so when we have kind of our plan that, to progress in this way unmistakenly, without error, in the direction of virtue, then there needs to be an independence there in that knowing, so that we can't get sort of led astray and veer away from our true priorities.
Kirtongina dene chupa arabjina teso chembo hiesene tende yo sar tayindu tene lopu chula te sen loy pok chula te tangbo hiesha yondu ni chuji ma to me ye sambe ki tende ge lopu chula te ani chupu tang la te sen de ta tangbo ji ina 추고마 샤마지 시버시발라 then a drown boy in a car here that then the chupu drown like this chupu pokes in our destination call
Oh, okay.
lo pok lo you poked it chul the grace chu you poked it okay here usually it's this sort of extreme harsh on Dharma practitioners, but the real Dharma practitioners would often in a traditional way of presenting that there is four reliance or four focus or four commitments, maybe commitments, deva. Four commitments. What's four commitments? The commitments of one's own mind to Dharma. The almost like goal of your mind is practice Dharma. The goal of practice Dharma is poverty. And the goal of poverty is in an empty cave. The goal of empty cave is death. It means need to die there. So that's I'm just giving. There is a wonderful, genuinely practice giving up some sort of things in it. That's where is that. So you can think about that. That's kind of making plan what I really wanted to do. How good Dharma practitioner I want to be. If really genuine, then is we all know that Dharma practitioner is not how much you can gain, but how much you can give up. So that's why all the Gajupa masters in caves. That is the best place to be. So Milarepa has this, he wears the mist of cloud in the mountains, mountain slopes. Yeah, his house is empty caves and so forth. So Milarepa has this characteristic of how they live and how they act and how they meditate. Yeah. And then we have Milarepa's that ngan tongna chenbi chujun tong junchi mi ben tonglong yin song. So Milarepa, when he drinks mindfulness. And that is uninterrupted drink. So you don't need to worry about whether you get water or not. Sena toni gi sela sa tongna chenbi chujun tong junchi mi ben tonglong. Sena toni gi sela sa ningbo tong gi salo yin song. When he eats emptiness. And when emptiness, the way of eating emptiness is the essence of ultimate reality. So this kind of, you can see, not materialize way of talking about. So that's how to make, we wanted to make this genuine Dharma practice, yeah? That's what I'm talking about. Whether we can do that or not is another question. But at least if we have inspiration, then that is also, I think, is a good thing. And then our Gajuba also have chong toku tam som la teser. Chong, loss again. To ku tam. Right? To food, ku, clothes, tam, fame. So and this on Latin, chong to grace on the naman on the nayomar. Netigaslav.
Oh, that's all. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, sorry. Then we have these three often say that we need to give up three things. Do, ku, tam. Do, food, ku, clothes, and tam, the fame. So this title or name or whatever it is.
Reputation. Mm-hmm.
So these are somehow important. It's everything rising from sort of these sources. Mm-hmm. I don't want to talk too much about this. You may think that it's not really relevant our modern days, but I'm saying there is a tradition that even in these days, in high mountains and slopes of mountains, caves in Nepal and Tibet and other places. And then Nimba Teba Don Zunruji Lama Tambe Gashi Drobashi goes.
So then the second line being, you need to follow the words of a sublime guru with faith and diligence.
Tene, ta mambu shochi labari. Tene, lama tambe ka shin droba se, ta jiro hong kongsa ke tu, kongsa ke tiki yo mare. Ta na, nga tsota, mela reba yung marba ki jutsu shima shishi malone ene kong yung ka to madeva chane marba chane yung chilola pepsong lo ju yorwa mela reba ro marba ki mela reba te jirsong nga tso tsi shakwa ina lama la teba yobi ki tsi ti shakwa ina to shure ina de kap kong yung There's Marbagi Trabose, Tendrilla Dane, and the Kong, there's Magavachane, Melarabane, Marbagi Sane Par, John Botus on the Keshayorva. Oh, Tendriori, that's so Lama dance at the Calicabor, Lamika in drops at the Tungumane, so you know, Calicabor, some Fana Melarabaliam.
So when it says you follow, the words of a sublime, or you do basically what your spiritual teacher says, or you follow the instruction of your spiritual teacher. And the sort of highest example of this is the relationship between Milarepa and Marpa. So Milarepa really is the example of someone who really upheld or completely followed the words of his guru, like exactly according to the guru's instruction, and yet still, and he's like held up as the utmost example of faith towards one's spiritual teacher. But then still sometimes, because Marpa was also very strict, then there were periods where Milarepa, became upset and kind of distanced himself from Marpa. And so that also shows how difficult it is when even the utmost example of faith and devotion, Milarepa, still found it difficult at times to follow the words of his guru, that it isn't easy to rely properly on a spiritual teacher, and it is even more difficult to follow the spiritual teacher's advice exactly as they or perfectly.
Ti machi nga tsu tiksongi samno tang tongchi ne lami loma la jik chi tang ina kari kitoli ina jik megla Madeba younger, the Hindu, not so put nala in I jig Marba ki mela rebala the Dukbo Tangse at Yongamarwa, Yina, Kali Jab Juba tell us some much Tamba Yina, Atene, Mississippi, Kali Shochi Jab, Jab Chumarwa.
And then especially in like the degenerate age, the like relationship between Lama and disciple is particularly difficult to kind of see the pure examples of this. When you look again at the example of Marpa and Milarepa, Milarepa, went through incredible difficulty and hardship for the sake of the Dharma and from the guidance of his teacher, under the guidance of Marpa.
Tene Timate Naropan Rojula Samantangwayna, Gachin Juni, the Gantran Juni Giores, Kawa Chembo Juni, the Kawa Chunjun Juni Gine, Tenen Tamatella, Delopagi, Tanda Konregi, Shibiki, Samte, Tene Naropala, and Ramtaji Yondu, Tene Topajares, that Tenrig Lojures, that Susem Gom Tomna, Yagwa Insares, Lama Sayatella. Tene Gom Matomna, a young Kashin, the Richard Watison, Lama Jigla, Susem Gom Matop Yondu, Tene Zambalang Liosic, Lama Tamji, Tima Pig, Nomba Sanji, Tima Tigi, Sonji Jum, then the Soma, Tene, Nomba Sanji, Passat to Jares, the wrong, the Pombore Chengdongi, the Samna. Wrong Lama Jigla Teba Chung Sona Shenda, Chu Tomali Teba Meva Chasona, Tene, that Pombora, wrong Pombora.
So, Yabo Jimadi, Yabo Komasong, Rang Lama.
Take song to the Roa. Lama Jig, Lama Gava Chayandu, Tene, Lama Toma, Tene, Tima Tibi, Nomba Sanji Bichu, Toma, Matipa, Tamagava Chando, those. The Pombores, that not so town in Tambot, Pombos, Johnson. Terry.
So not only that, but there are all these examples, the great masters who underwent, like for instance, the 12, like with the example of Tilopa and Naropa, who underwent the 12 great hardships and the 12 lesser hardships in the process of following the instruction of his guru, Tilopa. And it was actually due in particular to his enduring these 12 great and lesser hardships that he was able to give rise to realization in his mind stream. And so often, in this teacher-student relationship, it's very necessary to meditate on patience, to have endurance. If there is that ability to persevere with patience, then it will end up being of great benefit. And if not, if it is, if one instead develops wrong view or loses faith in the guru, then it becomes a great loss because one interrupts the path to awakening, to Buddhahood. And so these days, it is like very rare to find that kind of faith and devotion. And even, if one develops wrong view or dislike, towards one spiritual teacher, this then becomes kind of the same as having a disdain for all spiritual teachers, for having a disdain for the Buddha, having a disdain for the Dharma. And so in that way, it is a great defeat or a great loss.
Think ngarong wrong nyamnyong tone ngen tong deva rig deva ha ko deva tende ngarong ngoshi batende mangbo chono songs.
So he's witnessed this a lot, actually, himself. He knows a lot of people who have had this happen.
Teindu ta tebasaya tedang zundu saya tenyinte tela tene tene lamikat drop to.
And so with faith, one really has to have diligence to follow a spiritual teacher, to follow the path, and to continue practicing on the path with faith and diligence in reliance upon one's spiritual teacher.
Tene ta lama saya tedang sopo saya te
Sopo?
sopo sena lama mayimpa lama trapding ke yoro.
Oh, that's what.
Tele sopo sengdo. Ta lama saya te lama mayimpa ngone lama yinken je da mayinken te ngoma sonji shajo towa shar hyok dewe kamne yu deware ma to tingsong zar tu chong dewa kanyang maris tindu chuge nangla takbar si remshin de tene chun chinken te yang takba chi ta yang takba mayimpa chi ni yong de yores. 다 랑 강단 최용 써야 돼. 레당스 레서야 지 요바리 될라 때네. 용삼노지 땅 거야 레마도 타지도 네 삼세 탐지 네 나단 최세 라마 탐지도 양탁바 레서네. 때 용거요 말에. 때 메두드네 숨발라 되는 게 서는 비시 모두.
네 차창코 요사 말에 나랑
sonji shaja tawani sonde chu shin kan la yang thakba je da yang thakba ma yin kan ji yu dre ta lama la yang te shin de yang thakba ta yang ma thakba ma yin ba yong ge ta rani la yang thakba je dan che yong da ma da ba jin che yong te sam ma shen da je ton le se ji yu ba re ti ge to ne ma to ta je de nge dam ba tam je de yang thakba dam to me te shi to ge ma.
So, like the difference between like a spiritual teacher, a qualified spiritual teacher, and a charlatan. So they're like on the one hand, there can be this distinction, based on what the teachings of the Buddha, but when we also meet with a spiritual teacher, whether we meet with a qualified spiritual teacher or an unqualified spiritual teacher, this is primarily based on our own karma. So it is best to have, I think what he's saying is it's best to have pure view regardless, because it is the spiritual teacher that we come into contact with, it's our karma to be in connection with that spiritual teacher. And less so, about whether, whether we judge the spiritual teacher as being a perfect or qualified spiritual teacher, or like a flawed spiritual teacher.
Okay. Te indu ta nga tsu damga te yang thakba ji yong da ma yong te rong so so ge le la ra le de yore. Te sanji jom den de se ya te nga tsu le thakba la nang yore ma to le ma ta ba la nang thok yo ma re.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so, to come across like the pure, our own karma, essentially, then the manifestation of this is the spiritual teacher will be. So to actually be able to meet, a perfect spiritual teacher such as the Buddha, one has to have very pure karma oneself, right? To have that karma, to be able to have such a pure spiritual teacher. So the purity or the lack thereof of the teacher is really just a reflection of one's own karma.
Tene sumba kansa ge jong yong shebe lamme damka manor wa shi ko so.
So then the third line is, you need to select instructions of your guru unmistakably by understanding the difference between the instructions on faults and on qualities.
Tan dere teksong ge thula tene ta chu she yare to so tam je chapter de internet tal che ro de Tene lama inji lama te kanreji yimi nga so tak chi chi ya te hira le la wa marwa. Ta nga so rawa ji na sata rungbo jesa sako lungko lu je tene ndene lemne ka mar den tene chu shi nyam che go re ta te yin du chirong so ge nga so ju lo ju so ma he ge ma re le ju so ma a long to ge marwa. A yin na yo ta je damka ta manor wa ju ko gre song da dang bo lama dam tu ta dam ya ta ke chen bo re song da je song rong ge ju su ju ko ne yin re tene xian ge xi su ju ko ne yin re tende lame ge chong dong yo da lama da le kan de no sam ne tende ta xi ya ke chen bo re ta tek song ge tu le ti yong yang ka le ka bo xi bo wa
Ding sang.
tak chi chi ka le ko ro nga zu chu hi se de ne mi ngo ma hi ba ji kim mi ngo ma hi ba ji le chu hi go ro du ju long ta ya tu tu de men do
So it almost seems I think then the English might be a little bit like because it sounds like what Kimpo is talking about with this one here is more rather than selecting, maybe it's instructions too, but also selecting when it comes to selecting the spiritual teacher because so these days it's not so easy because things are there's so much accessibility.
Oh yeah, this is wrong.
Oh, okay.
Not instruction.
Yeah, so it's
This
actually
is
the
selection.
guru. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because it's damka. It's not
Damka.
damba.
Oh, yeah,
In
okay. So it's choosing the spiritual teacher. So in the beginning, while we don't want to focus, once we've selected a spiritual teacher, we don't want to focus on the faults and qualities, but really to focus on the qualities. However, it is said that it's very important to to carefully choose and to select, to analyze in the beginning, to really be selective and to weigh the faults and qualities and then get into a relationship with a spiritual teacher. Of course, these days, this is not really done so much because also there's just like widespread accessibility, teachings on the internet. There's, like very often teachings are given in such a way that there is often, for instance, lamas and students don't even know each other. There's just, they enter right into this relationship, whether through empowerment or teachings, without much selection or investigation, both on the part of the student and on the part of the teacher. So it's more difficult to selectively choose. But it is generally said that you need to select, be careful in the selection of a spiritual teaching by investigating the faults and qualities.
Maybe we stop here for tea break.
Right. So yeah, come back 4 o'clock.
Yeah, it's good that we are back, yeah, and I sort of forget that should we have some question and answer discussion if necessary.
Are you asking for questions, Kempola?
Yes.
Okay. I have one.
Okay, good.
So on the number 6 of the the 10 types of waste, there's a modifier saying that through frivolous, disturbing emotions in the English. And so the question is, why did they make the distinction of that type of obscuration?
Oh, you say what number?
6.
Number 6. Wow, Samaya seeks to reach liberation when the broken through.
Bagme, pache bagme, yana. Nyomo bagme. Kien.
The question is,
Like why the word frivolous?
Why not just obscuration?
Afflictive emotions
Right.
or disturbing emotions.
Right.
what does frivolous mean?
Like dunda meba, like superficial. Frivolous and superficial are like the same thing.
Or extraneous or extra, not important.
I think Tibetan's for me is more meaningless,
Meaningless.
careless, yeah.
Careless. It's
Careless.
usually translated as careless.
Careless is better, maybe.
Or it's the same word that is also sometimes translated as heedless. So bayo is heedful and bagme is heedless.
Thank you.
It shows in Bodhicaya Avatar, the Pakyu and Pangme, this careful and careless too. It's more describing one's own emotion as it's not necessarily whether solidity or not. It's more like how you act or toward anything.
That helps. Thank you.
I have a question on the number 8 in the 10 kinds of waste. The profound oral instructions and siddhas are wasted when bartered like merchandise to unfortunate ordinary people. Like, what comes to mind to me is in the West, sometimes they take the Buddhist teachings and stuff and market it for like, we're going to teach you yoga, and the intent. Yeah, is that what you mean by waste? Because they're like marketing it to make money for profit, but they're not really teaching the essence of the teachings or the spirit of what they're being taught. Is that kind of go along with number 8?
Number 8 on second list or first list?
Yeah, the profound oral instructions of the siddhas are wasted when bartered like merchandise to unfortunate ordinary people. So
Yes.
you get that's the same kind of concept?
Yes.
Like what are some examples maybe?
I have a question about mountain retreat. So my understanding is our body is our mountain retreat, basically, to, wherever we are, we're supposed to engage in the mind of a mountain retreat, if you will. Here we're in Florida at sea level, so the air is a little thicker, and it's a little, and there might be some advantage to altitude and a little coldness, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering about that physical aspect of mountain retreat, above and beyond just your disciplined practice wherever you are.
I think mountain retreats, because in Tibet we have nothing but mountains. So we cannot avoid the mountains, and sometimes higher is better because then you can say Milareva, something like the wild animals are my friend. So need that kind of friend. Namwinju Kuchong said, Namwinju Kuchong means wearing
Mist as clothing.
mist clouds. Namwin's always kind of Tibet in the mist, in the mountains, not in low valleys. It's talking about, so kind of. So his mountain is solitude, isolate, and also less people to interact with. So that's a sort of mountain here. Ritu, the mountain dharma, which really means practice. Of course, then here we need to treat ourselves and this as whatever it is. Yeah. Yes, please.
Thank you for today.
A little bit louder.
Thank you for today.
Yes, thank you.
And my question is regarding something that you mentioned towards the beginning about practicing the authentic Dharma, and that practicing authentic Dharma, and that practicing the inauthentic Dharma can lead to rebirth in one of the lower 3 realms. And my question is, could you give an example of authentic and inauthentic Dharma?
Yes, definitely that's a really good question. And usually all Dharma teachings in the Sajjaba, right? Sajjaba, the Hienpa Hitar Sindu.
Oh, yeah. So the cutting through the 4 attachments is a very popular teaching, or kind of a really important teaching that comes from the Sakya tradition.
그런 속에다 참도 추양타와도 추양타와 많이 빈참 배짱만 샤요로 아 첸들 현나 추파 민송 코르발레 현나 인조 민스 제힐들 현나 추파미 코르발레 현나 인조 다그당레 현나 향생 민스 다 롱그 통로 삼도 당와이나 형접선도 잡아요 말이죠. 당부터서
다우돈 라제나 되는 장심.
삼도 동나. 근데 형접선도 잡아요 말이죠. 근데 담아든 짐바쇼나 따와 민송에서 디시티 디게 산삼용 타고지 잡아요래서.
So in these cutting through of the 4 attachments, there's a really clear delineation between,
I think
like,
someone pointed display.
oh yeah,
the
so
4
we have.
lines here as well.
I'm sure that must have been James.
Yeah.
So like not so it's written here, but based on just like so Kimbo just went through what these 4 attachments are. So if you're attached to this life, you're not a true spiritual practitioner. If you're attached to samsara, then you don't have true renunciation. If you're attached to your own self-interest, then you don't have bodhicitta. And if there's grasping, if you fall into grasping, then you don't have the true view. You don't have the view.
인도 다 계통 맞죠 강사 제게 소소제 본다고 이해는 안 나오지나 주 양타고 차야 깔리카고 차들 단데 안들 되나 하고도 제 인도 다 디토라 다른 이제 양고 컨트롤이 단 라마 좀 보나려 치네 또나 용다 추페서 나한테 추랑섬 추도 만디베 드르독 힌도 뇽무 코나베 Zong.
Yangchar konta.
Chilo Latena, Yang Takwa Chupi Song Rao Yoris,
Chulo Latena.
Chilo Netena, Yang Takwa Chupi Song Rao Yoris, Chupi Song Yan Song Rao Tongaris,
So Chilo Me Tena.
yeah,
Yangda.
Chupi Song.
Okay, so I think, I'm not sure I got it, but we'll see. So Kim Bo Rinpoche said, in his own case, or he said in general, it's very difficult for ordinary beings like ourselves, and he said even in his own case, to really practice the Dharma perfectly, like according, for instance, to these four, like as it is according to these four, cutting through the four attachments. And still, Jamgon Kondro says, and calling the Lama from afar, and this is, I'm not sure. So if you see nothing outside, me is, no, fire.
It's this way. If I can show, I can shave my head, wear these robes, and look like I'm good Dharma practitioner. So that means, Chinitena, if you look your outfits, you are look like very good Dharma practitioner. Nang to rang sem chu tam man re beser. Now rang nge sem de, and chu tam re bam chu yang ta wach cha yo ma beser.
But if then inwardly, looking at your own mind, if your mind is not fully mixed with Dharma, then even though outwardly you may appear as a practitioner, then you're not a true practitioner.
I think this warning that help us about how we can do really authentic or genuine Dharma practice through usually for mind changings, for thoughts that change your thoughts turn into Dharma. That clearly shows that if we don't practice these four mind changings, then our practices most of the time mix with some sort of worldly things, such as concerning with family, concerning with friend, concerning with environment, concerning with fish in a pond, and so
Fish in a pond?
yeah, maybe need more water, clean water, or so these. We have a lot of concerns. Yeah, sometimes I have good friends that good motivation and good fight for talk more about these things rather than how to develop sort of
Inner qualities.
equanimity and great kind of genuine compassion and genuine loving kindness and equalness rather than fighting for some good fights. So it's a little bit different, but
Like external justice or,
exactly.
yeah.
Once we fight
An
for
environment.
that, for ourselves or others, it's, we are always become biased, yeah? And that's kind of disrupt our mind stream. Maybe it's, if good fight, we have strong compassion on someone, and then maybe sometimes end up with anger,
Towards the
hatred,
other.
toward others. That is called 宁静他嘛协当ser.
So the end result of dualistic grasping is hatred.
宁静他嘛协当. 宁静.
Ningje.
Yeah.
Ningje tama?
协当.
Shedong. So like the opposite of compassion.
sometimes the compassion.
Oh, the end result of compassion can sometimes lead to hatred.
Yeah, end up hatred.
Can end up as hatred.
Yeah.
Because of the dualistic grasping in it. So if you have great compassion towards one group and it causes you to feel anger towards another group, right? Like the group that is seen as the one who's harming those for whom you have compassion.
I have a very good example in our American life.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a good compassion toward a homeless person, so you wanted to provide, take that person to your home to feed, and then maybe that homeless person may never leave your house, and then end up maybe you need to call police, yeah, and then all kind of things rise. So immature compassion without equanimity could make a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the same thing. All parents, most of the time, they love their children. That's our own nature. But what we can do? It's, in order to protect family, there are always neighbors who you don't like. That's our human nature. Mm-hmm. Yes, so that's why it's very difficult to distinguish genuine practice and practice. But obvious things are easy because then someone pretending or someone doing something that is not necessarily according with Dharma. Mm-hmm. Please.
Sort of on what you were talking about, but specifically regarding, you had said something about qualified teachers versus charlatans, and I think there's also, someone had also mentioned this, like right now in the West, there's a lot of spiritual teachers that I think maybe, although they are not like at this kind of level that we're here, that are maybe helping people in other karmic levels, and how do you have the pure view of people that you see maybe as not totally authentic teachers, but that maybe are helpful to people at different karmic levels, and how do you discern that in pure view without sort of tainting or disrupting your own practice?
Yeah, it's another really difficult situation in this part because we are living in a 21st century and it's much different than in the past and culture too. And there is certain things in the past in a distant culture that they accept certain things that now we see that is not acceptable.
Certain kings, did you say?
Huh?
Kings?
No,
No.
certain
Oh,
things.
things. Sorry.
things.
Okay. Yeah.
It's difficult to justify it, and that's why I'm trying to saying that I'm not saying it will solve the problem. It already exists Buddha's time, so there is always have these two. But the next line is specifically, or the last line, we already talked about how you should choose genuine one. So that's a really difficult part. In a word my perfect teacher says, Tangbo lama ta lang keba, parto lama ten lang keba, tama gongju lap lang keba song, rinpa song kita ini, drogo gre song gre. Tayina, tene ngato le junril samno tene matang wachi. Tene nga laman treva te lamegi jubate mandrik bajin tongyondu lamsang ti nge lel stand samno matang wachi ne parcho teke mandrik bari samne tende chegora yon leg sayadil samno tana des pentoyo jere samno tendo.
So it's said in the words of my perfect teacher, at first one should be skilled in analyzing or investigating the spiritual teacher. In the beginning, one should be skilled in following or relying upon the spiritual teacher. And in the end, one should be skilled in like practicing or training in the training of the spiritual teacher. Or adhering to or actually practicing according to their guidance or instruction. So when we think about it from the perspective of karma, cause, and effect, if we have, once we rely on a spiritual teacher, if then there is like an over preoccupation with their kind of outer appearances or conduct, and if we sort of are saying, their conduct, this isn't okay and that's not okay, if we're kind of being overly critical, then it doesn't actually, from the perspective of karma, that's actually maybe not productive. Is that what you were saying? Or
Yeah, not productive.
Not productive, yeah.
It's always involved with karma, yeah? The pool like not a lot of your Gina Kunchok, Gadi, Dona Mosaji Palonsan, Gibo Chunya, the Kunchok Gadi race. But Dopo Kandi Chumate, Tuponga, same with Donga, not a Luganata, not a Karchumate, Moonji ladies, Moon Sapi ladies, and some not Tantonji, taking care of the Yobaina, then
So there's a saying in Tibetan that whatever brings us joy is due to the kindness of the three jewels, and whatever brings us suffering or whatever is bad, like whatever is good is a result of the three jewels, and whatever is bad, whether in our own mind, or like outer circumstances and the environment or illness or whatnot, is due to the karma we've accumulated.
Then Chilok Lama Tella, Yang Tagwa, Jurameva, Tonya de Kalikoro.
So it really comes back to understanding outer phenomena to be a reflection of our own mind, because if the true Lama is within, is the true nature of our own mind, and the true nature of our mind is intrinsic awareness, or Dharmakaya, but if we don't recognize it as such, then to find a perfect reflection of that nature externally, like an external Lama that's really perfect and changeless and like the nature of complete purity, is difficult if we don't recognize that in ourselves.
Okay, turn that tell it down and turning us. Namo Nancy Namdaji Lama La Sene Nancy Tamchi Yen number Takba Lami Kuris, the Imahafel, Omi Namdaji Lama La song to Tondachi Moyorova.
So it's like in the lines that Kimbo Rinpoche very often refers to, in the prayer, the Lama, Namo, how is it translated? To the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence. Thank you. So this is the like primordial purity, which is like the body of the Lama is actually all outer appearance, is like the body of the Lama, the meaning of this, that the primordial purity or primordial perfection, which is actually displayed as outer phenomena.
Okay, so maybe you want more? Or?
Well, I think you sort of answered it. I guess my thought is like, if I'm encountering teachers out that Western teachers that I perceive to be charlatans, but see other people seem to be benefiting from it, that is my own impure view of them as a reflection of me. Like, even if I am here and I am perceiving teachers that I perceive as qualified, and then I'm perceiving teachers out in the world.
Like out in the world, you know, like teachers that are maybe like not even Buddhist teachers, right?
No,
that are,
yeah,
like just spiritual teachers out there in the world that other people really think are great, and she has this view like, oh, that's not really a qualified teacher.
So
But
that's why I'm saying that exists since
the time of the Buddha.
the time of Buddha, but I'm not saying there's good and bad out there. But we always treat, in our own perspective, there's two things, good and bad, because we are in a dualistic world. And until we equalize, so that's why I'm keep
Until we
saying
see the
that
equality of all
equanimity
phenomena.
is so important. Even compassion, you have great compassion, that may become a cause for anger if you don't have equanimity. So that's, if we have this view of equanimity, then we can balance good and bad lamas.
So the fact that I'm even perceiving one as good or one as bad or one as qualified and not qualified is my karmic issue.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Yeah. Until we purify that karma,
Things will appear that way.
you may see in that way. Yes.
Just a comment to this particular question, like it's a big challenge when you start, right? Figuring out who to follow. What worked for me, like I'm offering this as an idea. Forever, any teacher, like not only spiritual traditions, right? You can find teachers who will be repeating the books, right? The word. And somebody who will be adapting that word to your particular question or situation, right? And one is sort of like, you can just read the book, maybe, right? And you cannot connect to the teacher. Other one who can adapt that word in the book to your question, your situation, your challenge, maybe, right? It's that PIF instruction, right, part, which is applicable to you. That's who you want to follow, if it makes sense.
Yeah, and of course, we choose, we make bad choice most of the time. Even parents think they can send children to college and come back very educated, behave well, and most of the time maybe a little bit disappointed. Similarly, for the good lamas and bad lamas and between, they're probably the same. And I'm not just saying the lamas who facing this direction to talk something, but anyone should be lama, yeah? And then need to think
Like
ourselves to what people would think to me, is samsara is almost a mirror.
Mirror.
If you think there's good and bad things out there, outsiders judge you either good or bad, but not always 100% good or 100% bad. Yeah. So the Buddhist practice is trying to do balancing that part to don't make too big deal. Yeah. Sometimes in the West we go too far to say, I want to sue this Lama to put in jail forever in this life and never come back to society to, I don't know. Yeah, what do you think?
My question to you has to do with the question you asked me a while ago. You asked me, like, how do I best learn? And I know I learn from hearing, seeing, and doing. So when I'm looking for a teacher, I need to find some that incorporate all three, or if one teacher is actually pretty good and is very qualified, but I'm not really good at reading, should I try to improve that quality, practice getting better at that quality so that I can benefit more from the spiritual teachings?
Yeah, maybe sometimes we too much emphasize on Lama. This is sort of assuming that people seriously want to practice for genuine Dharma for next life, and then sometimes we just want to learn something and to practice a little bit for we call purpose of spirituality. Then maybe you don't need to think too seriously about these Lama things. It's just enjoy your life and do meditation and whatever helps your life. That's not necessarily involved with the Lama. Nothing to do with the Lama, and also don't harsh on Lama either. It's just like just relax and do meditation.
Not so much expectation.
Yeah, exactly. Lama may not have expectation of you are going to be liberated, and you should not have Lama has such blessing to even Lama don't know much about how to deal with the life and so forth. So here is we're talking about genuine Dharma. What we need to do, we need to abandon something, which is often called three poisons. Three poisons are rooted within us, and whatever we see, we are already judge things, yeah? Good and bad, sometimes through feelings, sometimes through what you hear, sometimes through what you see. And that's what we do. That's why humans make a lot of mistakes. And it's not a bad thing. And the bad thing is after you make a decision and you put a lot of time and energy and money, then almost 20 years, 30 years after, then you change mind to totally to devaluate what you learn, what you see, what you know. That is, I think, a big loss. So it's difficult to say. That's why I'm saying our judgment or our decision or our plans, maybe not good plan. It's we need to accept that first, and then we need to go through a little bit harsh way, but the result will be greater if we can do that. If not, just enjoy life with the meditation, I think we don't really need Lama. So that's why I'm saying.
We don't need the Lama
I don't think so. It's
to just enjoy our life
Yeah.
with meditation.
yeah,
We only need Lama for liberation.
yes, that's definitely. It's saying here, and this is all about next life, and we will see.
But I'm not sure, I'm just going to say, I'm not sure you fully understood Beverly's question. Because what she was asking is like, if she's good in certain area, learning in certain areas, like doing, probably kinesthetic liver, but she's maybe not so good with like, say, study. Then, and if she has should she go with a Lama who teaches in a more doing way, or would it be good to instead have a Lama that's going to improve her ability where she has less, where she's a little weaker? You know, like it's somebody who's a real scholar who
Yeah.
teaches through study.
Yeah.
Is it good to say, I'm going to stretch and I'm going to improve my ability in study, and so I'm going to go with this Lama? Right?
I'm saying.
Did I understand you right?
But before that, we need to think about why I'm doing that. Yeah. If you don't need to concern too much about that, should I find a Lama or should I read or why I'm doing this? It's really why I need a Lama or not. It's another important question. So. Because then, in our tradition, once you take as Lama, then there is a lot of samayas, and that's more dangerous part of that, and that's why it's a tamka manorvaku. It's when you choose right Lama, which is never happened anyway.
It never happens.
Probably not.
Because we have so much delusion, so obviously, yeah.
Karma.
Yeah, karma.
Think about karma. That's up to you. I mean, you want to read more or Lama to find, and generally, I don't know. Yeah. So we need to read a little bit more. Say, the fourth is Sherab Tang Tenpa Nedenji Lama Tambi Tugon Lomba Shigo.
Are we on the next one?
Shibaro.
Jiba? So the fourth one is you need to assimilate. Is that, did we already do that? No, okay. You need to assimilate the sublime Guru's realization with discriminating knowledge and persistent devotion.
Shibaro.
Shiba re, but nga dringamendo nga tsokapa samsapa yun. And it's still gopa. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's that one.
Seems English is different. How?
I have the wrong one.
You need to assimilate the Sublime Guru's realization with discriminating knowledge and
Persistent devotion. So Deba.
I think a
Ninja.
Sherab they translate
Sherab.
is discriminate with
Yeah,
knowledge.
they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Tukun Lomba is assimilate. That's interesting word. Means you.
I don't know what Tukong Longwa means.
Means you actualize the Lama's realization. I mean, sometimes we use these tuyi jek tu zeba, lame toktan, rangi nyam tu zewa.
Oh, so the mixing of the Lama's enlightened mind and your own mind. is kind of the
which
meaning
means
here.
actualize
Which
Lama's
is
mind.
like actualizing the Lama's mind. Okay.
Tene da lama dam sarwarwa, lama dam sarju tanda zumbala lama dam grace la. Ta we are not, we don't make good decisions most of the time. So now we did our best to choose a lama, and now we make a good choice. Hopefully, believe in we make a good choice. What did they say in English? Think the worst, do the best. What would they say? What?
Hope for the best?
Oh, hope the best.
Okay.
Yeah. So now we choose already. So usually now that stage is gone. And now we need to realize the guru's mind. Mind or realization here means the whatever realization may our guru have.
Whatever realization our guru may have, we have to mix our mind with theirs in order to also realize that.
Through hirabthang, tipannetenjikone.
So through wisdom and persistent faith.
다 ngacho lama yore, lame gi tuk te ngacho gi to yore, melarebe songma nanjire. Lama thang rangsem sangje som chek tu tok pe nanjur la song, melarebe kongrek. Lama thang chek rangi sem tangi, sangje som te chek tu to yore song. Te tok na tene nanjur kin chodo churware song.
So Milarepa says, realizing the Lama or the mind of the Lama, or realizing the Lama, your own mind, and the Buddha, these three as one, is the supreme yoga, or the one who, or the supreme yogi. Is it yogi or yoga?
I think he's talking about himself.
So I, having realized the Lama, my own mind, and the Buddha, these three, to be the same, essentially, or one,
I'm the great yogi, maybe.
then I am a great yogi.
Yeah.
I am the great yogi. Okay.
Yeah. That thing is a mambo chi tarvare. Tan dorna rang ke semte lama imba yi machi bayina. Tene chilo ka lama tela jaja yichi laptop ya te kali kapore. Tene sangji se ya te kandu imata sum ka nyam dun zomni jik tu chaya te so da des nyam len che namato yong yo marwa.
So if we don't understand the true nature of our own mind, then it is difficult to really have like a pure perception of, or to have like a purely appearing guru. And so to really understand or to realize what Milarepa realized, these three, to be indivisible or of a single nature, the Lama, his own mind, and the Buddha, this can only happen through practice.
Tene chenpa tang shi yi fa yu dun tenbi ko som ji nye chung ma ku ba shi ko so nga ba.
So then the fifth is, you need to remain untainted by faults in thought, word, and deed, and by being mindful, watchful, and careful.
Tā te tawi lamme tukong te yakbo ji long songwa ina, tā tong, tā tangbo ngoma xiu inba. Te tawa to simi ki jesu, chenpi ki jun jiang ne, ma deba ina, yung nam to ji wang tu xiong zhogo yo reis. Te nang xin, lamme tukong te long na yung, chenpa tang xie yu fa yu don tenpi ko ne, ko som ji nye chung ki ma ku ba xie ko kure ma to. Tene ko lu nga yi zong, te nye zhong ke chen me ku song wa yin na, xi xin tang, chen pa pa yu tu song, me pa chang zhog yo re, ten yin du, 그래서 개체물에서
And so still, like even once the view, if the view is realized, it has to be maintained, it has to be sustained through consistent mindfulness, so that one remains within the recognition of the view rather than falling into ordinary discursive proliferation. Through heedfulness or carefulness, really guarding the doors of body, speech, and mind. If we're not mindful, watchful, and careful, then it allows for that, then we lose that awareness, and then faults can creep in.
단돈은 되네 마 디스콜라 온도가 주파 고자단 닝톱 예담 땡이 툭토 가지고 툭토 봐서야 개체물어 현기 칠록이 짠 라만달라 때네 낭기 단도 자신은 때문 페리용이야 그 툭메토 바랑 유요레스 템 메바체야라 고자단 닝톱 때 먹고 그래서 딱 고자서나 어쨌든 칠록 고자던데 배향을 때는 농기 고자테 수반다고 다 가토미 송하나니 수바도 고미하데 개체물에서 다 닝톱 된데된 보고 그래서
So then it says you need to keep the sixes, you need to keep your resolve steady and unwavering with the armor of courage. And so the example here is armor, because often it is the case that outer conditions can arise in such a way, like all sorts of different things, that cause us to lose our mindful awareness, or cause us to give rise to afflicted mind states. And so we need to wear, we need to hold to, really have like the courage of armor. And as is said, there is no armor. Katup is
hardship.
So there's no hardship like patience. So the primarily like that armor, just like enduring, whatever kind of difficulty through the power of patience, we have to have this kind of like this armor of patience.
저는 렘바 차기미 창미 셴미지 주베 나타 말마 마셔바시고 손다 제통 착바당 셴바텐데 메요나 테네 미기 칼년고야 당 미기 칼라바테네 로고야 텐데 제통 유지마로와 테메발텐 텐데레스
So it says you need to be unattached and free from clinging so as to avoid letting the rope to your nose slip into the hands of others. So without a mind of, like attachment and fixation, then there is, these are the things that kind of get us bound up in dependence on others that allows our independence to be lost. And so it is important to sort of protect oneself from that mind of attachment and aversion and to maintain autonomy.
근데 제가 준무지 좀 제심베 따도 총리 속발로 좀 하시고 선다 주르와 무이 지som 사야테 나서 냠란 탐지 게나네 메타메바치 차거 당봉 고속도 주르와서 때네 무이세나 무슨 냠슬람베가 때네 예선 단도나 주르와 주르와 심지 담방 당문로다고 알라 차잖아 심지 당문로 된데라 주르와서 근데 뭐이세도 다 민파메베기 냠란지 고고요 티 파르 되네 예서 뭐와서네 뭐와티 마진베이나 되네 개와사샤와서 주소든로고 그래서 다 용무지 섬제 심바다 개점벌에서 속니 속에 값.
So then the eighth, it says you need to constantly exert yourself in gathering the two accumulations by embracing them with the main, preliminary, main, and concluding stages. So here this is referring to the three excellences. So the excellence of the pure intention at the outset of our practice or whatever the virtuous activity may be that we are accumulating on our path of gathering the accumulations. And so the pure intention of bodhicitta at the outset, and then the main practice, through the main practice, there is that non-referentiality or undistracted attention. And then with the conclusion, the perfect dedication.
Tene goba xiamda nyingje ngu sam ju ne simchen ji tong lo chokwa shi gu song ta xiamba da nyingje nyin te nga zo tsimi xi yu ngo ne song du ne xiamba da nyingje nyin te xi go simchen la dewa chung na sambi ki xiamba tang dongar ma chung na sambi nyingje te nyin te ngu sam ju ne simchen ji tong song te da tam je simchen ji tong la tenyi Mūsu samno kuruguyana, yūna samno kuruguyana, mūsu dunga dan chā dewa dan den samguyana, tartu sanji chi kompong yūne tobuyo samba ten teda la, lo tse jik tu chokwa chi koguyo rezo.
So then, number 9, you need to turn your mind toward helping others with loving kindness and compassion, both directly and indirectly. So, in practicing, for instance, the 4 immeasurables, love is the mind that says, if only beings could be happy, or may beings be happy. And compassion is the mind that says, may beings be free from suffering. And so really, and then to take that further, with the generation of bodhicitta, to have the genuine aspiration that in this wish for beings to be free of suffering and to have happiness, there's the wish for them to fully awaken, to reach the unchanging ultimate happiness of Buddhahood or awakening. So sustaining that mind of love, compassion, and bodhicitta with single-pointed attention is what is being referred to here.
Yeah, it's necessary. And then 10th, hirab tong koto ji chu tam ji ngu tong sema ma shirwa ji gu song tan digi guba tong juba nyingi kar song yor sena xiamba ta nyingi tang hirab tan doma nyingi da hirab tong ni nyingi nyingbo jen song gu ta digi hirab sena tongba ni ha ko batala hirab se gorwa. Ti koto sena tongba ni ha ko wi hirab ti kar tokyo resena chu tamji ngopo don semal ma shor ba ji ko res chu tamji nang des reg des tong des tamji te ngopo yin samba dan del ji yep don kan don seman dog samba tenri gi sem lo tenri gi on to ma shor ba ji ko res.
So 10th is you need to not mistake phenomena to be substantial and inherently endowed with characteristics through knowledge, understanding, and realization. So this is referring to then the wisdom aspect, so the wisdom of emptiness, which is, the wisdom of emptiness, which is also pervaded by great compassion, which sees the true nature of all phenomena, that whatever appears is actually empty of substantial nature or true existence. And so understanding that, then the mind does not kind of fall under the influence of illusory phenomena, thinking that they're real, because there's the wisdom that sees that the empty essence, the true empty nature.
Okay, so this is the 10 necessary dharmas. Without these, then our dharma practices are getting sort of not genuine dharma practice, I guess. Yeah. So necessary
not hitting
means
the mark. Yeah.
necessary means really need these to become a genuine dharma practice. Maybe that's your question. Is maybe think about these 10 lists and these trying to saying. If we have this, then our practice become genuine dharma or authentic dharma. And today's time somehow fly very fast. As always does. But tomorrow maybe we can just go a little bit fast, and so maybe we can find more in that. And while you need to read this, yeah? Okay.
So turn to page 24. We'll say these few dedications. By the virtues collected into 3 times by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Prakumpa Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. And then to page 19. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. Changchuk Sem Chorin Poshe Ma Ke Pa Ke Jo Ke Pa Nyam Pa Me Pa Yang Gong Ne
Thank you, Karabuchi. Thank you, everybody. So see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you, everyone online. Maybe tomorrow you can ask more questions. Today we are important people here, more important than you.
Joking.